Open your phone right now. Scroll through your contacts. There are hundreds of names in there. Maybe more than 1,000. People you've worked with, matched with, sat beside in classrooms you barely remember. But here is something strange. If your home caught fire tonight, and you had to call someone who would actually come, the list of names that truly matter would collapse to almost nothing. You have 1,000 contacts. You have 5 people. You probably think that gap is just a quirk of a busy life. That if you tried harder, networked better, answered more messages, you could turn those 1,000 names into 1,000 real bonds. But the real answer is far stranger. The limit isn't in your phone. It's printed into the size of your skull. There is a number that follows you everywhere. You never chose it. You can't see it. But it quietly governs every friendship you've ever had. That number is around 150. It's called Dunbar's number, after the British anthropologist who found it. And once you understand where it comes from, you will never look at the word friend the same way again. In the early 1990s, a researcher named Robin Dunbar was studying monkeys and apes. He noticed something curious. The bigger and more complex an animal's social group, the bigger one specific part of its brain. Not the whole brain. One part. The neocortex. The wrinkled outer layer where reasoning and prediction and imagination happen. The pattern was almost mathematical. Small neocortex, small group. Large neocortex, large group. It was as if each species came with a built-in ceiling on how many relationships it could track at once. So Dunbar did something bold. He took the relationship between brain size and group size in primates, and he plugged in the size of the human neocortex. He wanted to know what number the math would spit out for us. The answer came back. Around 150. Think about what that means. Not the number of people you can recognize. Not the number whose names you can recall. 150 is roughly the number of people with whom you can maintain a real, two-way relationship. People you know, who know you, whose place in your life you can hold in your mind without it slipping. Why would a brain have a limit like that at all? Why can't you just keep adding more? Because relationships are expensive. Not in money. In attention. To truly know someone, your brain has to track who they are, how they are feeling, what they did last week, how they relate to everyone else you both know. That last part is the killer. It isn't just one connection. It's a web. With 10 friends, you're tracking dozens of invisible threads between them. With 100, you're tracking thousands. The math explodes. Your ancestors paid that cost with something surprising. Time. Other primates hold their groups together by grooming each other. Picking through fur, hour after hour. It's slow, it's physical, and it doesn't scale. You can only groom so many bodies in a day. So how did early humans hold together groups far larger than any ape? Dunbar's answer is beautiful. We invented a faster kind of grooming. We started talking. Language let one person groom several others at once, with words instead of fingers. Gossip, in his view, isn't a flaw in human nature. It's the tool that let our social worlds grow. But even with language, the ceiling held. 150. And here is where it stops being a theory and starts showing up everywhere you look. Long before anyone measured the neocortex, human societies kept stumbling into the same number on their own. Study the size of traditional hunter-gatherer communities, and the average size of a clan hovers right around 150. Look at the Hutterites, a farming people who deliberately split their colonies the moment they grow past 150 members, because they learned the hard way that beyond that size, the community can no longer govern itself by personal relationships alone. It needs rules, hierarchies, enforcement. Look at military history. The basic fighting unit, the company, has hovered around this size across centuries and across nations. Not because generals read anthropology. Because units larger than that stopped functioning on trust and had to be held together by command. The number keeps appearing. In village sizes. In the address books of pre-industrial traders. In the count of people you'd send a personal card to at the holidays. Dunbar actually studied that last one. When researchers looked at how many people families sent Christmas cards to, the network of households came out at around 150. You were never told about this number. And yet you've been living inside it your whole life. Now here comes the part that should genuinely unsettle you. You probably assumed that the internet broke this rule. That social media tore the ceiling off. You have 500 connections, 1,000 followers, maybe far more. Surely the brain that evolved for a small village has finally been upgraded. It hasn't. When researchers went looking, the number refused to move. A team led by Bruno Goncalves studied the patterns of millions of conversations on Twitter. People could follow thousands. But when the scientists looked at who people actually talked to, back and forth, in a stable way, the number of real relationships settled at somewhere around 1 to 200. The same ceiling. The technology changed. The brain did not. Dunbar himself studied social media directly and found the same thing. You can collect friends like trophies. But the number you actually interact with, the ones you'd reach out to in a hard moment, stays stubbornly close to that ancient figure. The platforms gave you a bigger contact list. They did not give you a bigger brain. So what are all those other names? The hundreds you're not really close to. This is the most elegant part of the whole idea. Your relationships aren't one flat list. They are arranged in rings, like the cross-section of a tree. And each ring has its own size. At the very center sit around 5 people. Your closest. The ones you'd call in the fire. Just beyond them, a ring of about 15. Good friends, the people you'd grieve with. Then a ring of around 50. Friends you'd invite to a big gathering. Then the famous 150. People you genuinely know. Beyond that, a ring of 500 acquaintances. And finally, a ring of around 1,500. The faces you can put a name to, but no more. Each ring is roughly 3 times bigger than the one inside it. And here's the cruel arithmetic. The rings have fixed sizes. Your innermost 5 seats are almost always full. So when someone new becomes truly close to you, someone else, quietly, gets pushed out. You felt this. The friend who was central in your 20s and is now a name you scroll past. You didn't stop caring on purpose. A new person simply took the seat. There were only ever a few seats. Researchers who study network size, building on the work of anthropologists like Russell Barnard and Peter Kilworth, have spent decades just trying to measure how many people any one person actually knows. The methods are clever and the answers are messy. But the layered structure keeps holding up. We are not built to love everyone equally. We are built to love a few people intensely, and to spread a thin, fading attention outward from there. So why does this matter to you, tonight, holding a phone full of names? Because it means the loneliness so many people feel in a connected world isn't a personal failure. You can be surrounded by thousands and still feel like no one would come. That isn't because you're broken. It's because connection was never about volume. Your inner ring doesn't care how many followers you have. It only counts who shows up. And it means your attention is the most finite resource you own. Every hour you pour into the outer rings, the strangers, the half-friends, the endless scroll of faces, is an hour you didn't spend feeding the 5 seats at the center. Those seats don't stay full on their own. They are fed by time. By the slow, unglamorous grooming we now do with words. A call. A visit. A message that asks how someone really is. The ape grooming its companions far and you texting an old friend at midnight are doing the exact same thing. Maintaining a bond against the gravity of a brain that can only hold so many. You are walking around with a Stone Age limit inside a modern world that pretends the limit isn't there. The world keeps telling you to grow your network. Your biology keeps quietly choosing your 15. So tonight, open your phone. Scroll through those hundreds of names one more time. Most of them are just wait. But somewhere in that list are the 5 who would come, and the 15 who would grieve, and the 150 who make you part of something older than cities. You don't have 1,000 friends. You never could. You have 150 seats, a handful that matter most, and one short life to decide who gets to sit in them.